Welcome to one of the many circle sessions hosted by Wonder Girls. Wonder Girls is a nationwide classrooms movement. We bring relatable female role models into classroom settings through our circle sessions. As you will see, the crux of these sessions is its dialogic nature. We're currently working with 150 plus classrooms across 7 Indian cities. Our aim is for every adolescent in India to have access to relatable female role models. I welcome you once again and hope you enjoy learning from our speakers' life journey and career path.
And thank you so much for coming in here today, taking out time to speak with the kids. I know
No problem, my pleasure.
being in research is really difficult to make out time because you always would be busy looking around things, searching around new things. So thank you so much for coming out here and a very warm welcome to you.
Thanks.
And everyone, this is Purvi. Purvi, she is a doctoral researcher at University of Helsinki. She is interested in how the changes humans make to the environment affect the animals we share our planet with. So how we actually affect our environment and how we do make changes to our environment with our activity. She is going to discuss us with about it with us today, and she is also a avid bird watcher, and birds are also a subject of her research. Apart from this, she in her free time like to learn more about science and doing sports, and also organizes quiz clubs. She's a active part, like she actively takes parts in all these things that are a part of science or maybe in sports. So welcome, Purvi, and good to have you here.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, not Didi.
Yeah, Didi.
Anything is fine, I don't mind.
So to start on with, Purvi,
Ma'am.
kids are actually really very
Prachi
excited
Didi,
to know you. Yes.
who are those people, Didi?
Those people are your friends. They are from different classes, from different schools, and
Oh,
they are also here to meet Purvi Didi,
okay.
to her. And you all can stay on mute. You can raise your hands to ask questions to her, and you can type on the chat box. आप अपना हैंड रेज कर सकते हो अगर आपके पास क्वेश्चंस है. आप चैट बॉक्स में भी टाइप कर सकते हो आपके क्वेश्चन जो भी आपको पूर्वी दीदी से पूछने हैं. ओके. So to start on with, Purvi, we would actually like to know something about yourself and your career till now.
So you've introduced me very nicely. Do all the kids know what a PhD is? You can just say yes or no quickly. Unmute yourselves and say yes or no.
No.
Yes. Okay. So for those who don't know, you know that school will go till 12th standard, right? And after 12th standard, you decide if you want to do a degree, a bachelor's degree. So I did a bachelor's degree for 3 years. Then after that, I was still not happy. I wanted to study more. So then I did a master's degree for 1 year. You can also do a master's degree for 2 years, but I did it for 1 year. And after that, I decided I was still not happy. I still wanted to study more. And that is when I started doing my PhD. So PhD degree is the final, the highest degree, that specialization that you can do in any field of your liking. So I am currently doing a PhD and I study ecology. Ecology is the study of interactions between animals and their environment. So it can be the interaction of animals with other animals in their environment. For example, if a tiger is hunting a deer, that is ecology. But also how much water an elephant drinks, that is also ecology. And usually when people think of ecology, they study animals and plants in forests or in completely wild environments. But I am interested in looking at animals and plants in cities. So when I go to do field work, I don't go to a jungle far away somewhere. I just go outside. I go to Lal Bagh, I go to Kaban Park. And over there, I study the different plants and animals that live in the city. So that is basically a short introduction to what I do. But yeah, you can ask me questions and I can tell you more details.
Okay. So you already explained like how you go with your profession, what you do, what your research field is. But to go with, can you actually tell our kids what actually a scientist is? Like, whom should we call a scientist?
A scientist is a very broad term. A scientist is anybody who observes what is going around in the world and thinks about a question. So it can be anything. I can be thinking about how does Google Chrome work and trying to figure out how it works and how it can work better can be science. It can be something like what I study. For example, how do birds live in the city? That's a general question, right? Any of us can have this question. You can ask the question of why are there so many crows around my house? Why are there so many pigeons around my house? And if you design an experiment to study why there are so many things happening systematically, then you're doing science. So anybody who is interested in a question is basically a scientist.
Okay. So beautifully explained that. So we have two questions coming up here. Mehak, you can go on with your question, followed by Shoaib.
Hi, Purvi Didi.
Hi.
Scientists is becoming scientists who want to become a scientist very difficult. No, they have to research that everything we should have to know. Why you become scientist? That is too difficult work. No.
I don't think, I mean, that's a nice question, but I don't think being a scientist is more difficult than any other work. It's as difficult as a lot of the different professions that are out there. I decided to become a scientist because I am really interested in answering these questions about ecology. I mean, so for some time, I was not working as a scientist. I was working as a communications manager. So I was doing social media and handling stuff like that for a company. And it was fun, it was exciting, and I got to learn a lot, but I wasn't excited about it. I was still excited to go see birds, to learn more about what is happening. And in the end, when I find out that, for example, in Bangalore, certain trees attract more birds. And you all know that we're already having a problem in the city. We have to cut down trees for roads and everything. So if from my research, I can show that some animals, if from my research, I can find out that some animals are benefiting from certain trees, then I can put this research out. I can tell the local government that, see, this is what I found, and it would be good if you want to have animals in the city, that we should protect this particular kind of tree. So it's very rewarding, I think. That's why I wanted to do this.
I have one more question, Didi.
Go on, Mehak.
I also met before in last year only. I also met one scientist. He's researching in moon to stay human beings because population is too much. No,
Yeah.
like that you are searching animals. You can research dusra another also. No, why are you searching animals, Kai?
Because I'm interested in animals. I think that the work the other scientist is doing is very important. And what happens is when you start studying more and more and more, you have to start specializing more. It's very hard to study everything. So you have to focus on small topics. And you can only focus well on a particular topic if you're interested in it. So that's why I'm studying birds.
Thank you, Didi.
No problem.
Like well said, Purvi. We already like as we go higher and higher, we focus on very little limited thing because in that also we have to collect a lot more knowledge. Very vast knowledge is there to gain and understand. So yes, we can choose our fields that we love the most and what gives us the most of interest. And to move on with, like you already told why you chose to become a scientist, so would like to know more that like at what age do you like actually got to know that this is what you want to do and this is where your liking is.
Okay. So till I was in 12th standard, I did not even know that this profession was possible. I was a swimmer. I was swimming competitively. I wanted to represent the country in the Olympics. So I spent 8 hours a day, 6 days a week training. And like I had special permission to attend school late, to leave school early, all sorts of these things. So I was doing well in studies, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. So till then, I had no idea that anything like this existed. But in my school, it was a new school, and we were the first batch for 11th and 12th. And I was the only person who took biology. Everybody else took computer science. I was the only one doing PCMB. And that meant that I was the only one, and me and the teacher. So that's when I started like really understanding the subject, and like I got excited about the different questions you can ask and everything that you could do. So we could just go out and like conduct an experiment. Actually, it wasn't like in the school where you have to wait in the lab or somebody will just demonstrate for you. So that happened, and then in 12th standard I decided that I have tried enough for swimming and I should do something interesting. So I went out and joined this group called BNG Birds in Bangalore. It's open for everybody. So if you all are interested in learning more about birds, you can go join also. They meet every second Sunday of the month in Lalbagh near the Glass House at 7:30. So if you want, you can go join them. I can send the details around later also. But anyway, so when I went bird watching with this group, I realized that people actually know so much about everything that's around them, all the plants, all the birds. And then I met some researchers there, and I realized that you could also go out and study things and like be paid for it in the future. That this was something interesting to do. So I guess when I was around 15 or 16, that's when I decided that I would like to continue. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very nice. So early in your age, you could identify what you want to
Yeah,
become.
I was very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, and congratulations on that. And nice to know that like you were already in swimming, you are trying out a very different field, which is like apart from what you are doing now. And to like you said just now that you were the only one who took biology.
Yeah.
PCMB in your
Yeah.
11th, 12th, weren't you
Yeah.
scared because you are doing something that was nobody was picking it up? So, how was the feeling at that time? Am I doing anything
So
wrong, or should I go with it or not? How was it?
I was not interested in computer. Like, I mean, I thought this is if I was later interested in computers, I thought I could pick that up as an interest later because there's already so many classes outside of school for coding and stuff. Thought I could do it afterwards. I didn't think I could do like biology that way. So I wasn't scared. And this, like, one of the questions you had sent me was about a role model, if I had anybody. So it sort of feeds into that question as well. For most of my life, I've been doing something that I wanted to do and I was supported by my family. So I didn't really think it was like something scary. The people I care most about, who care most about me, were always supportive. So it didn't matter.
That's amazing that the people you love care about you a lot and support you a lot so that you can do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
So amazing on that. And we have one more question coming up here. Sufia, you can go on with your question. Sufia, come off mute and ask your question.
Maybe, yeah.
Yes. Ask your question, Sufia.
Hello?
Hello, Sufia. Sufia, can you hear us? I think there is a bit problem with.
Yeah, maybe she can
connection.
type the question.
Yeah,
if
you
she
can
wants
type
to, I
it
can
down
take it
on
later.
the chat box, Sufia. And we have one more question with Mehek. Mehek, you can go on
Didi.
with the question.
Huh.
Yeah.
Test.
Mehek come, that's why I'm raise hand, Didi.
Okay, you are raising hand because of
Didi Mehek.
you don't have a question now?
No.
Okay, no problem.
No problem. If you have a question, you can type it down on the chat box. And Mehek, if you have any question, you can ask now.
Surbhi Didi, who has supported you to become everyone will support you can be. Who has more supported to become a scientist?
So mostly my parents and grandparents have supported me in every way, like emotionally, mentally, financially, every way. My parents have supported me, but everybody doesn't support you. So
Yeah,
like Prachi was
that's
saying, wasn't it scary? There was sometimes when it was like I had to question myself. Before starting degree, so I did a bachelor's in science, and people think that if you're not doing medicine and engineering, you're not going to have a career in the future. It's over. So some of my very close friends tried to tell me that doing a bachelor's in science is of no use. I should do like biotechnology engineering or something if I'm interested in biology. I would have never expected my best friend telling me that these things only happen in the movies. You're doing that something that's not going to lead anywhere. So I was for some time very disheartened. And then I went and talked to my parents and asked them if I'm making the right decision. They told me as long as I am interested in it, I should go ahead with it. Then even after I finished my bachelor's degree, I went abroad to study my master's degree. I had to spend a lot of money. I had a big education loan. After doing all this, people who were again, who I respected very much and were very close to me, said that there is no future in doing research. I should not become a scientist. That also surprised me and hurt me a lot. But I came back home, I talked to my parents, they said the same thing. As long as you want to do it, as long as you're interested, you should go ahead. So my parents and grandparents have supported me a lot, and they're very, they say they like, because it's so specialized now, they don't really understand what I'm doing. They don't really understand what I do in my everyday life, but they're still interested. They'll ask, what are you studying today? Did you have any symposiums, any meetings? Was there anybody talking about new research? So I think that's very important.
Okay, so yeah, coming to the question here, like you already mentioned that two times already in your career you faced like discouragement and like people pulled you down. They told what you weren't meant to be told. So in that situations, what would you suggest that like people would come up who would like pull you down? They won't feel good about you. They will make you feel that you are less than anybody. So like at that times, how we should cope up with this situation and to look forward at our dream, what we want to do, how
Yeah,
we can do that and how should we
yeah.
do. Yeah.
So I think first of all, it's very important to have priorities, and your priorities can change over time. So right now, my priority is that my career goal is to become a professor. But research is very competitive, and I understand that it might not be possible for me to become a professor in the end. But what is important to me is that I keep doing research, I keep answering these questions. So the title doesn't matter. So for me, in the end, what is important is doing the research. But when you're really discouraged, I think it's important that you have some people in your life. It doesn't have to be your parents, it can be friends, it can be anybody else who believe in you and support you. So when you're not able to believe in yourself, you can tell them what is happening, what the problem is. So they can remind you why you're interested in doing this, and you can carry it forward. So when I came to Finland, when I came here, actually, does everybody know where Finland is? Maybe I can show you on Google Maps.
Sure.
No.
I have 1 second, I'll try to.
I'll give you the sharing lights. Give me a
Yeah.
yeah, you can now share.
Really nice. Yes, thank you. 1 second. So let me first. Does everybody know Eskimos?
I don't think so.
Okay, never mind. I will show you where Finland is. So everybody knows what this is.
Will you zoom?
India,
more.
India map.
Yes, exactly. So we are here, right? You're all the way over here in Bangalore. So now I'm going to zoom out. And right now I'm over here. So this is Finland. It's very north. It's very, very close to the North Pole. So it is completely different from what India is. So I came all the way over here to start my PhD. But what happens, PhD, even though you're studying, it's like a job, you're doing research, so you're paid for it. So for the first year of my research, I didn't have funding. Like I didn't have funding for the full PhD. A PhD is for 4 years. I had funding only for 6 months. And then I applied and applied for like 1.5 years to get more funding. And every time it kept getting rejected. So 12 times my funding got rejected. So I had a huge loan to pay off my master's studies. And I was in a foreign country where I didn't know anybody. And I was not sure that I can be here. I wasn't getting paid. I didn't know if I could continue this and if I could achieve my dream at all. And it was very difficult. But my PhD supervisor, who I work under, I have 2 of them, and both of them were very supportive. Every time I got a rejection, they said, no problem, there's probably something wrong with the application, you have to apply again. So when the world is rejecting you or somebody is telling you you can't do it and you can't believe in yourself, it's important to have these people around you who can support you.
Yeah, true, very true. We actually need to have somebody with whom we can share our problems, what is there in our mind, and most importantly, that people should be like understanding and supporting you. At least they should be there to listen to you. So everybody out here, the kids, you need to find someone in your life who matters to you the most and for whom you are also important, so that they can listen to you, they can support you, and don't lose these people ever. Okay,
Yeah.
very important, Purvi. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. And yeah, getting rejected every time with would again pull you down a lot, and that needs a lot of support and encouragement. So you already told that you had a huge loan while you were studying, while you wanted to do the masters. So can you also tell kids that which school or which area should we go and how should we do the thing, since you have already done that? So after our schooling, like since these kids are from class 6 to class 10, after that, what should they pursue, which college should they follow, or like how should they move in there further if they want to become a scientist?
So again, scientist is very big, right? For me, I wanted to do ecology, and ecology in India is still a developing science. We have now, there are many good labs who are doing it. But even when the time I was applying, there were very few labs or the competition was very high. So I had to like look abroad. But that's not the same, for example, for engineering. You can do you can do research in engineering also. You don't have to go work for a company. You can research new materials, and there's a lot of research that you can do in engineering. And for that, like IITs and IISc, so Indian Institute of Technology and Indian Institute of Science, are already there in India, which are doing world-class research, or even for other fields like physics, chemistry. So it really depends on what field you're interested in of science. But generally, because doing science or academia, it's so competitive that if you want to become a scientist, it's better or it's more advantageous for you to go to the best school possible. So the best college in your field, particularly, to try to reach that. So prepare for exams for that college, look at the different courses that they're giving. Are the courses matching your interests and what you want to look for in the future in your field of science? So you have to look for these things. But it depends on different things, and it's not impossible. I know a lot of people who have not studied in like the best places, but have then got admission for PhD in like the highest universities like Oxford and Cambridge and stuff. So it's possible. It depends on the work you're doing.
Yeah, very important. Whatever we do doesn't matter from where we are doing. It is important how much effort we are putting in, how we are performing. So performance is the most important thing. And we can like, you might have also heard kids here that hard work shows up. No, if you are doing hard work now, you would be paid later. Yes, amazing, Purvi, with that. So could actually relate to all of your like sharings that you are telling here. So um, moving on with that, since you have already identified your field and the topic you want to research in, would like to know actually how exactly you got to know that this is what I want to research. Like you had a bigger area, birds were there, but how that came into your mind that you want to do it, like how humans affect the environment and stuffs like that.
So after my 12th standard, I thought I was interested in environmental science, just generally like what we are doing to the environment. I was like reading so much about climate change and I was interested in that. But my parents were very afraid that if I took a environmental science bachelor's degree, I would just be an activist. I would not be able to like affect anything. I wouldn't be able to do research, and they didn't want that for me. Like I don't see any problem in that, but they didn't want that for me. So they introduced me to a lot of people who they knew who had a degree in environmental science, and all of them somehow managed to convince me that I should continue with zoology because I am interested in zoology, and then maybe do microbiology, so I could have like an industry option open. If you get a degree from microbiology, you can work in like different food companies, in the milk industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, anything like that. So that's why I did my degree in microbiology. And while I was doing that, I did internships in different labs to see if I can actually handle research at all. And over there, these labs were doing different kind of things. Like I was saying, ecologists tend to go study in forest and they tend to study the animals. So one of the labs that I worked in was studying elephants and studying how elephants are related to each other and how these groups move around in the forest, which is really, really interesting. But it was hard for me to see how me doing that research was going to help others. So that's how I slowly started, again, coming back to the environmental science part of it and started thinking about what can I study that will not only help the animals, but also be somehow implemented into like how policy is taken care of, how governments make decisions. Can something I study help animals survive better? So that's how I started getting interested in how what humans do is affecting animals. And I have chosen birds because I like to study birds. But of course, this research you can do with anything. You can do it with dogs, you can do it with insects. And there are a lot of people who are doing this. Like you must have heard about the crisis of bees. So all over the world, the number of bees are declining. And bees are very important for us because they do pollination. So all the fruits we eat, for example, are pollinated by bees. And if all the bees die, then humans will have to go and pollinate each flower. So there will be a separate job to make apples happen and stuff like that. So you can do this research with many different animals in mind, but I am just looking at birds. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. So yeah, got to know about like you were interested in birds, but can you just like explain how since you are already like doing it, so you can let our kids know that how the humans like actually affect the environment. One example you already gave, that is of pollination. We would be affected in that, but how we actually affect the environment and how our small deeds like they affect the environment a lot. If you can explain a bit on that, kids would be able to know more,
Yeah.
like how it's happening, how are we affected?
So everything we do affects the environment. You must have heard of the food chain, right? How one animal eats another, another eats other. So if one animal of the food chain is lost, the whole food chain breaks down. So we can think of every living thing on the planet as a part of this huge interconnected system. So anything that humans do will affect everything else in the environment, any of our small actions. So for example, if we use a plastic bag and we just throw it somewhere and it ends up in the water, then it will affect, like you must have heard about sea turtles being suffocated by plastic bags, but that's on a large scale. It'll affect the fish in the water. Another example of things we have to do that we can't avoid is all the sewage that we produce in the city has to go somewhere, right? So in Bangalore, a lot of the times the sewage ends up in lakes, and the lakes have existed for years now. Even though they're man-made, they've existed for a lot of time, and sewage wasn't being diverted into them that much before when they were first made. So now we have to think about how to do proper sewage management over there to ensure that the lake ecosystem doesn't get harmed. So everything, like I can't think of anything that humans do that doesn't affect the world around us. You have to ride your bike to work, you're causing pollution. If you're honking your honk too loudly, it's causing noise pollution. We know now that because of the noise pollution on the roads that humans cause, birds sing at different pitches. Because if they sing at the same pitch as the traffic, then the other birds can't hear them and they can't communicate. So there is nothing that humans do that doesn't affect the environment. So we have to be very conscious of our actions and try to minimize our impact. It's not possible to completely, you'll have to stop living to not harm the environment. But what is in our hands is to like try to minimize the impacts. Use less electricity, try not to use plastic and so on.
Okay. So slightly a different question from here. Like, since you mentioned about Bangalore and all, I have also heard that like in Bangalore, there is like problem with
Yes.
water and the Kaveri River, it sometimes
Yes.
dries up. And so we probably in summer, we face a lot of
Yes.
problems. So is there any impact of human that is being done on that, which affects the water table or like
Yeah.
how much?
100%. So like we do get water in Bangalore from Kaveri, but Kaveri is quite far away from Bangalore, right? If we think about other cities like Pune and stuff where there are rivers flowing through the city, that's not the situation of Bangalore. So Bangalore was always arid, like always a dry environment, and it was always dependent on the rain for getting water. And that's why the kings many hundreds of years ago built all these tanks that we call lakes now that exist in Bangalore, so that we'll have water all year round, and the underground water can also be maintained so that there'll be water in the wells. But now the problem is that Bangalore's population, first of all, has increased rapidly. We are filling up all the lakes. So we are taking away sources where we were supposed to store the water. We are cutting trees that help get water into the underground table again. So slowly, I mean, most of you must be familiar with this. If you try to dig a borewell now for your own house, you have to go deeper and deeper to find water. So humans are definitely affecting the underground water table, and the solutions for it are thankfully already available in Bangalore. They just have to be protected more.
Okay. So can you just let us know that how these kids can like help protect the environment that is near and near them, around them?
Yeah.
They can't like go around, but the area that is near to them, how they can help protect the environment over there.
Actually, I mean, they can also be involved in, so there are other researchers in Bangalore who have been studying Bangalore for a long time, and speaking with them, it feels like to protect the surroundings, the government is always most responsive when citizens are actively taking part. So there's a lake in South Bangalore called Puttenahalli. Over there, the citizens saw that this lake is completely being damaged by sewage and like people are just throwing garbage in it and they should do something. So they took up the task to clean the lake, and now it's being run by citizens and the government together. So there are many things like that, like this, that are going around. So the kids can get involved in that. But if you're not allowed to do that yet because you're too young and your parents are afraid to let you go that far, you can always try to, like I was saying before, not litter in your surroundings. Try to always segregate your waste and throw it away properly. Try to not use too much electricity, like waste it. Like, of course, you need to use electricity because you have to do things like you have to be on this call, so you have to charge your phone, fine. But don't leave the TV on just like that. Try not to waste water. So all these small things you can do. If you have space, try planting trees or plants, try taking care of them. Try planting plants that have fruits or flowers so more animals can come use them, and then you can also get fruits and flowers.
Okay. Beautiful. We have these small steps that we can take and we can help protect our environment. So Ashwini here has a question. Ashwini,
Yeah.
you can go on with your question. You can come off mute and go on with your question, Ashwini. Okay. Can you click on the mic button over there? नीचे में एक mic button है. Click on that and ask your question. Yes. Go on, Ashwini. Ask your question now.
Yes, ma'am.
आप अपनी क्वेश्चन अभी पूछ सकते हो. पूछो आपको जो पूछना है.
No, ma'am.
Okay, you were raising your hand. So if you have any question, आप आराम से पूछ सकते हो chat box में, okay Ashwini? कोई भी question है, ask it on the chat box or raise your hand again, I'll ask you. Okay. Thank you so much. And to move on with, can you just, since you are a girl, you were already past the school period and then you have been outside country also. So can you let us know, being a girl, what are the challenges that you faced in the school as well as in the college, and how like you managed to overcome them?
So it's kind of hard to say because I've been lucky. I haven't really faced that many challenges. I haven't faced outright anybody behaving badly with me or something like that. Thankfully, nothing like that has happened. And my school life was very different because, like I said, it was a new school and I was always in the highest class and the school was growing with us. So if I was in 7th, that was the highest. Then when we were in 8th, that was the highest. And I was also swimming. And we had a principal who was very supportive of co-curricular activities. So in school, I think it was the opposite. Other people didn't get opportunities because of me. Because if I said I'm swimming, principal gave me permission to like go swim and not take any trouble for anything else. Then I wanted to try photography, so I told him that I want to do that, and he encouraged me and he made me the school's official photographer. Then a bunch of us wanted to learn guitar, so then he organized guitar classes in the school for us. So my school life was very, I've never faced any problems there because of being a girl. I mean, of course, the teachers, we were young and the teachers were protective. So if we kind of misbehaved, the girls got scolded more or something like that. And the boys weren't always scolded, but it's fine. It wasn't too bad. But I think the most difficult it was for me in my bachelor's degree. Over there, because I had this experience from school where I could always do what I wanted to do. It was difficult when teachers didn't believe me or I didn't have that trust from the teachers, and you had to gain it. And you can't really build up trust in a short period of time, like 1 or 2 years. So it took time. And in school also, I was always like sports captain or school captain and stuff like that. And when I tried to be my class's sports representative, because I was a national level swimmer, I had so many medals, I was on the football team and stuff like that, the entire class still voted for a boy who had nothing. He hadn't won anything. He hadn't done any sports seriously in his life. They still voted for him. And that was only because he was a boy. And then throughout the year, the class didn't get to participate in any sports, especially because he was not interested. He just wanted the title. And I could have helped them, but they didn't vote for me because they didn't think a girl could be good in sports. The same thing happened when I stood for election for college student council. So over there is a position reserved for girls for vice president. And all the other positions, anybody can apply. I didn't want to apply for vice president. I wanted to apply for president. So when I applied for that, people would say, like, why don't you just apply for vice president? It's reserved for girls anyway. You can get it anyway, which I thought was really unfair. And it is not okay that just because I'm a girl, I have to face these things when I'm clearly very qualified for the position. And I mean, it was everybody's loss, right? Like they picked people who weren't qualified. So it didn't only make me sad and harm me. It also harmed everybody else because they chose a candidate that was not good enough just because they were male.
Yeah, so true. Like girls do like face a lot of challenges in that case while compared to boys always, or like when it comes to even physical work like sports and all. People always do think that girls will fall short, they won't be able to do this, and that is really very sad because girls since ages have done a lot of work being in home, also managing everything. Now we are going out managing all the things, so there shouldn't be any different, but it's very really very sad to know that still there like persists a lot of difference in the mindset where boys are more preferred than the girls. So in this particular situation, what would you like tell us, like why is it important to like have the gender equality, like what's the importance of it?
I guess it's not just gender equality. Now people are talking about diversity of all sorts, right? So people from different backgrounds, people from different nationalities, everybody who has had different experiences in their life has learned how to handle challenges differently. So when we have people who are very different on a project, then they bring all these expertise with them to the project. So because of how I've lived my life, in a particular way and I've gone to particular schools and I've only met particular people, I might not have ever encountered one problem, which for somebody else can be very natural. So I think it's very important that you have different types of people in your working space involved in your project or life so that they can bring their different perspectives and you can work together for this problem and the problem will be solved easier because there will be so many different ideas and perspectives. That's why I think equality of all types is very important.
Yes, so very true. Not only the gender, because like this is the base, like we see as you talk, but apart from that, also in every field, like in every profession, a person who is able should be given the chance, no matter what gender he or she
Yeah.
has or what other differences he or she has, whatever that is. But if he or she is able to do that, give him or her the chance. So, yes, that is very true, Purvi, on that. So, to moving on with that, now can you let us know what's the importance of education in a child's life and to make him or her successful? How important it is to be educated?
I mean, I think without education, it's impossible to do anything now. Not only because wherever you want to apply for a job, they'll ask you for your degrees and stuff. Keeping that totally aside, just being educated means not only being able to read and write, but also being able to learn new things and being able to explore new questions. And the things that you learn through education this way are so important because you're going to face new and new challenges in your life and you have to learn how to adapt to these situations. And I guess that's why it is important.
Yeah, so like one more question here, like we can get learnings a lot, and like there is no age limit to learn new things and all. But we do see like in today's world when like Corona hit us and the situation is very different. Even small kids or the childrens are going out to work. So and
Yes.
when they are earning, they are feeling like it's not that important to get educated. Instead, when we are getting money, we can spend it. We are after all getting educated for money. So
Yeah.
what are your takes on this?
I mean, like, comes back to the priorities, I guess. So, for example, when I was still in my bachelor's and I was saying that I like birds, so I want to study the nature and stuff. A lot of people told me that I should just like do some HR or IT job kind of thing, earn a lot of money, and in my free time, I should be doing these hobbies. So, it's what matters to you if like being comfortable with the amount of money you're getting. If you think that's going to last for a long time, then I guess that's good. But I personally at least feel that I need to have some goal, some thing that I'm chasing, something that is like interesting to me so that my mind is engaged. So I wouldn't be very happy just earning money. I have to be contributing to the society actively. I want to be doing something more. So as long as your priorities are being met, your needs are being met, I guess it's okay.
Okay. And so what I'm hearing is if the priorities are being made or what we want to do, if we are happy in that, settled in that, then education can be compromised. Is that so?
I wouldn't say education can be compromised. I mean, that's a very huge statement to make. I would, I mean, you have to finish your schooling, but if you want to continue your higher degrees, there's also no point in doing a degree just to get a degree. That you don't know what more you want to do, so you just enroll for the next degree. That doesn't help anybody either. So I was coming from that sort of point of view that you have to get your basic schooling, you have to have your basic education because it's very necessary to understand how the world around you works. But later, if you feel like you're not interested in continuing education in a class, maybe you learn more skills So those skills can help you get a better job. It can also help you earn more. I was talking about it from that point of view.
Yeah, sure. Did understand your point. Just was
Yes.
questioning around to get it more clear. Now the vision is like very clear. So it actually is like the basic schooling is literally very important to know around like about the things that are around you, to know about the world, to face the challenges in the world. Like when you are in job, you need to face a lot of challenges in the world. And for that, basic schooling is very necessary. But yes, truly said Purvi, doing a degree just for a degree is not
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Yes. If you are interested in doing that, knowing more about that, and just like you did, you wanted to know more, you did BSc, and then you did your master's and now PhD. So if you are interested in literally learning more, knowing more, improving your skills, then surely don't compromise with your studies. Okay. Studies are really very important. You should go on with your studies. Thank
Yes.
you, Purvi, for that. I actually wanted to know it very clear and bring it very clear with the kids. So just twisted the question around.
No
So
worries. No.
yeah. So to like moving on with, just would like to know, like being a scientist, how your day looks like.
So again, being an ecologist specifically, different scientists their day will look different. But again, in ecology also, there's different kinds of things you can do. But my time is divided into a period of the year when I do fieldwork and when I don't do fieldwork. So when I do fieldwork, I have to get up early and go do my observations wherever they are in the city or even close by. And that basically means that I go look at birds according to my experiment. I will walk on different like paths that I've already made. I'll observe the birds that are there. I'll make detailed observations of what kind of bird, how many I saw, what the bird was doing, depending on my research question. I will make all these observations. And then the rest of the day is kind of free. In fieldwork, the only important part of my time is what I do in the fieldwork. Later, I can read different literature to learn more or attend meetings and stuff like that. But when I'm not doing fieldwork, so I'm not doing fieldwork now, but I have all these observations that I made in the field, right? That is only the first part of my science. Now I have to use different kinds of statistics to understand if there is any pattern in these observations I made. Can I test these observations to see if they're showing me any kind of result? So then the rest of the year, this is what I do. I sit in front of the computer and I do lots of maths. Biology also involves maths. This I didn't know before, but it does. And yeah, I'm still a student, so I have to attend classes and I have to earn credit. So in the off-field season, then I will attend classes. I am part of, since I have two supervisors, I am part of two different research groups. So then these research groups will meet once a week. They present their research, they ask questions about the difficulties they're facing in their different areas of study. Then we get together and we talk about all of this, and then we learn from each other. And the final part of my day is a lot of reading. So research is just being curious and learning more. So that's why I have to spend a lot of time also reading.
Yes. So wherever you go, whatever you do, learning doesn't stop.
And I mean, it shouldn't stop, because if learning stops, then you stop growing. So then it's just boring. Then you're doing the same thing over and over again. There's nothing interesting happening.
Yes. Growing, learning goes alongside growing. So you grow when you learn. Yes. True, true. So true. And to like, as you told that in your field work, you go visit birds. Like there are millions of birds. Look, like different kinds of birds. How do you remember actually and identify like this is this bird I learned about and this is what the book is having? Like how do you relate it to your studies, whatever you have studied?
Yeah, so it takes some time learning what is around you. So I just don't look only at birds. I also look at plants, and I never studied plants like formally. So it's completely new for me, and to identify plants, I'm slowly learning. But since I had to use it in my research, I'm using technology. So there is an app in which I can take a photo of a plant, and the app will tell me plants that look like this plant, and then I read the descriptions and try to identify the plant that way. But with birds, I've been bird watching for a while now. And then, does everybody know Pokemon?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so
I
everybody
know.
knows Pokemon and you can remember all the different types of Pokemon, right? That's the same thing with everything in nature. Actually, Pokemon is inspired by nature. So if you can remember the different types of Pokemon, if you go out and start observing birds, then you'll slowly start remembering different types of birds. You'll be able to tell the differences between them. You will understand that different birds make different sounds, so you can recognize the birds by sound. It's just a matter of practice. If you're interested, it'll slowly.
Yes. So yeah, that is interesting. But like in the first, you told about a app where we can like just scan the or take the photo of the
Yeah.
plant and we can like it will help us
Yeah.
identify. So can you let us know what that app is and can we
It's
also use
called,
that generally?
yeah, it's an Android app. It's free. It's called, where is it? It's called PlantNet. I'll type it in the chat.
Yeah, so PlanNet. Okay, kids, there in the chat box, there is the name of the app which Purvi has put. So this app will help you like understand what is the difference between each of the plant and how they are different, what their name is. So yeah, really interesting. You can go around, take photos of different plants,
Yeah,
and then you can find their names, their properties. So do
yeah,
use that. This would be really interesting. Thank
yeah.
you,
And it's
Puri.
easiest to use if you have flowers or fruits, because plants without flowers or fruits sometimes are very hard to distinguish. Of course, there's leaf shape and all of those things, but there are a lot of similarities between different plants also. So it's easiest with flowers and fruits.
That's an interesting app. Even I'm getting so much tempted to just like go out and take photo and just identify that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing it on. And to like just two more questions to end the session with. One is we you already told that like we talked a lot about our interest and we should move on with our interests, our liking and all. But to do certain things, we need to know what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are. So, like, how should can we identify that? Like, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And how can like they
Mm.
help us in our like all today scenario?
I mean, I think the best way to identify what you're good at is would be to look at a time when you were having difficulty doing something and what you did well. But there are also other ways, like for example, after 12th standard, you can take these aptitude tests, which tell you like what career would be suited for you depending on. So there's 8 different types of intelligence, and they will like give you a test and then tell you what best to do. Like even though I was interested in birds, I thought I wouldn't do BSc. I thought I'll go for psychology or something as a degree where I'd be interested. But then I went for this test, and then they said that my aptitude is not the best for that, but I should like continue in science because I'm doing well, and that also that I have good people skills. So their major suggestion was that I should do a job in which I'm working with people because that is my biggest strength. And I mean, that's what I would also identify with myself. I like talking to people, I like communicating. But then again, I feel like all of these things can be cultivated if you really want to do something and if there's a skill that is required for that, you can work on it. If you see other people are like doing the job better because they have a particular skill, then you can consciously try to develop that skill within yourself also. I don't think you like necessarily need to exclude yourself, but to identify what you're good at, I guess, yes, definitely. Think about the things you do best. Think about when you struggled and what you did good in that situation.
Mm. So hard times show us the path. Like when we are facing
Yes,
challenges, the steps we are taking, how we are facing it, will
yes,
help us identify our strength.
yeah,
It is amazing to listen to your insights and like it what we do generally, but we don't actually
yeah,
identify or give it a much of
yeah.
our time to like focus on that. This is what how we identify it and what it is, how it is. So amazing to listen to your insights and know from it a lot. So, moving on to the last question, Purvi actually would like to get a piece of advice from you. Like, what will be your advice for all of us here?
I don't know. I mean, you sent this question and I couldn't think of anything also. Just to like make sure that whatever you're doing, you're enjoying it, because otherwise it's really hard. No matter what you do, there's always going to be a lot of challenges. And as long as you're interested in doing it and you're enjoying it, and like you're not being tired or worn out by what you're doing, you should continue doing. And I think there's always time to change. If you don't like what you're doing something, it's okay to take a step back, to think what else you would like doing, and then to change towards a goal, not just stop doing it because you don't like it. To think about what else you would like to do and then change towards doing that new thing. I think that would be something important. But I don't know. I'm still young. I don't really think I can give good advice. I still have to face a
But
lot of things in life to learn.
yeah, but that is really valuable. Like we should actually move with our interest and where our heart is. So that will make us smile daily, and like that will give us a lot of energy to do work. So very important. Thank you, Purvi, for sharing all of this. So would take 1 minute here. Uh, Two people would like two of the kids to come off mute and share what are the highlights, like what points you took away from you, like from here with you, uh, from the chat we had with Purvi here in 1 hour. Whatever you could understand and whatever you liked the most, you can come off mute and share with us. Also, others can type it down on the chat box. You can type down in the chat box as well, or you can come off mute and share.
Didi,
Yes, Sufia.
my battery is low, Didi.
Okay, we are about to end, Sufia, but since you are off mute, can you let me know what you liked in this discussion today? क्या सीखा आज यहाँ से?
What, Didi?
आज इस डिस्कशन से क्या सीखा, Sufia? What you learned?
Didi is teaching very nice, Didi. That's
हाँ, she is
Thank you.
teaching very nice, but what you learned? आपने क्या सीखा? यहाँ से क्या लेके जा रहे हो? कुछ सीखा कि नहीं आज?
he's telling animals about no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so think about it, Sufia. आपको यहाँ से क्या लेके जाना है? क्या सीखा? क्या अच्छा लगा? Okay, and
Yes.
like one more person to respond here. Anybody of you can come off mute. You can share on the chat box as well. क्या एक चीज है जो आप लेके जा रहे हो यहाँ से? Yes, Shoaib, you are off mute. You can share. Okay, you are taking away the smile. Okay. No worries. So I'll give you time, kids. Think whatever we discussed today, and think about what all things you like the most, what you want to do in your future. Go with your heart, and of course, never stop learning. Okay, when you learn, you grow. So never stop learning. And thank you so much, Purvi, for being with us here for this 1 hour and sharing so beautiful insights. And it was lovely learning from you so much. And it was like got like reminded of a lot of things, like we used to we don't generally focus, but we should like just the simple thing being focus on where your heart is, like what makes you more interested in. So thank you so much, Purvi, for sharing all of this.